At a time when many European nations are discussing ways to boost defence spending, as President Trump says they need to pay more, Germany's voting on proposals to remove restrictions on borrowing so it can significantly increase its defence budget. The plan has the backing of the mainstream parties. Well, to get more on that, let's go straight to our security correspondent, Frank Gardner. Frank, good to talk to you. You're in Berlin, looks quite sunny where you are. Just tell us what we're expecting today.
Yeah, it's a pretty key day for European defence here, Regina, because behind me you can see the Bundestag, the German parliament, where German MPs from all over the country have been gathering to vote on what the papers are calling a fateful day for Germany. And one newspaper rather, referred to it as showdown at the Bundestag. Why does this matter? Well, Germany has been very cautious about borrowing ever since the financial crisis of 2009. And Angela Merkel, if you remember her, the Chancellor Merkel, put some pretty severe restrictions on borrowing. Today's vote is about sweeping away those restrictions by changing the constitution, freeing up 500 billion euros for infrastructure development here in Germany, things like bridges, roads, transport. But what matters to the rest of Europe is that it would remove all the obstacles for unlimited borrowing to go into huge debt potentially to build up Germany's armed forces. And this is why this vote is going to be watched very closely by the rest of NATO, because they can't rely on the United States anymore. I was at the Munich Security Conference last month where delegates sat kind of open-mouthed as J.D. Vance told Europe how they were wrong in so many areas, according to him and the Trump administration. And of course, Pete Hegseth, the US Defense Secretary, days earlier had said, Europe, can no longer rely on the United States. Don't count on us always being there at your back. So Germany, as Europe's biggest defense spender, is now deciding to spend big if this vote goes ahead.
Indeed, and it doesn't seem to be one that's that controversial either in the country, is it?
Oh no, I think it is controversial because it's taken a lot of wheeling and dealing behind the scenes. I mean, I don't want to get too much into the weeds of all the acronyms of German political parties, but essentially, yes, the main parties are behind this, but they've got to get a two-thirds majority. Now, this proposal is bitterly opposed by both the far right, that's the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, which is growing in popularity, particularly in the eastern parts of the country, which feels neglected by Berlin, and also by the far left, Linke. And there have been a few demonstrations, very small but noisy demonstrations already here outside the Bundestag, outside Parliament. So even if it passes today, that's not the end of it. It's still got to get through the upper house, what's called the Bundesrat, on Friday. And all of this is a race against time for Friedrich Merz, the incoming Chancellor, because this is the old Parliament. The new Parliament is due to meet in just 1 week's time. And he's in a rush to get this through, to get this passed. If you remember, he said recently, Germany is back as a big defence power, because like many European countries, it's run down its defences. There have been big cuts, and they want to now reverse that because they've got the double challenge of an advancing Russia in Ukraine and a withdrawing America in Europe.
OK, Frank Gardner, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on the very latest on that vote in Germany. And Frank's written a great analysis piece on the BBC News website all about what's happening in Germany. So do check that out.